Hi everyone, welcome back to Cam's Garage. Today I actually want to walk you guys through a pretty unique scenario, at least for my personal garage, as I'm looking at a new car or potentially a new garage in general. As you guys know, I currently have my 2012 Toyota 4Runner Trail Edition, lifted on old Manimo shocks, love it to death. It's a great 4Runner. And then my other car is a 2006 Mazda NC Miata with a 2.5 liter engine swap. It's an absolute riot to drive, love it to death, but I think I'm ready for something that's a bit more refined. So why would I actually want to make this change? Well, let's talk about each one of these cars. For the Miata, I've had that platform now. This is actually my second one, and I've been driving them for 10 years. I love the platform. I know it very well. I've obviously done my 2.5 liter. I think I'm ready for something a little bit different. I want something that's maybe a little bit more comfortable, has a potential back seat, and if you want to know the truth, mods are great, mods are fun, mods for daily driving are not exactly ideal. Why would I consider getting rid of the 4Runner, especially if that is my current daily? Primarily, if I'm going to do it, I need the funds. If I'm going to buy something a bit more expensive, it makes a lot more sense for me to have a larger down payment, and I can buy another Toyota product down the road. It's very easy for me to actually replicate that car. In my opinion, the Toyota platform, or any of the Toyota platforms, whether it's 4Runner, GX 470, 200, 100, even going into the Sequoias, you can basically get into any of them. They're all reliable so long as they aren't rusty and crusty. Do a little bit of maintenance and you can get them all back on the road. There's a reason that I've had 2 GX 470s, 3 4th gen 4Runners with V8s, 200 series and a Tacoma over the years. So that's what, 8 products, and I've never had one of them strand me, and that includes several cross-country trips. They're excellent cars. So the 4Runner is relatively easy for me to bring back in a future iteration, which will absolutely happen. Next, I want to go ahead and dive into my actual criteria for what makes this car up. So if I'm selling the Miata, I have around $20,000. If I'm selling the 4Runner, I have around $40,000. Reason for the numbers, the Miata is listed for $13,000. I have a few $1,000 I can put on top, shouldn't be a problem. As far as the 4Runner, it's currently for sale for $19,000. If you're interested in either one of those cars, send me a either an email or let me know in the comments and we can go from there. As far as my criteria for the car, first and foremost, I need it to be reliable. The reason that I got rid of my Jeep Wrangler 4xe and what drives me crazier than anything is having a car that I cannot trust. Number 2, I need it to be more comfortable than a spine-cracking inducing Miata, at least for daily use, and I would like it to have some amenities that the 4Runner may not actually have. I need it to have a usable interior. I don't need it to be a Rolls Royce. I need it to be comfortable and decent. I want it to be engaged. This is actually a really important one. Engaging to drive. I do not want something that does not provide an overall good experience for the actual driver. I'm coming from a Miata. I really emphasize, whether that's automatic or manual, I'll get into that in a second. I just need it to be a very engaging experience to be behind the wheel. I need a good transmission. I have learned that is also a big ask. I do not mind if it is an automatic, but I will not take a CVT. I need it to have a functional back seat. Some vehicles do not have a functional back seat. You'll hear it throughout the list. I need it to be a professional looking vehicle. Some of the cars that are on this list are very much boy racer. They give out that vibe. They're usually a little bit louder, whether that's the way that they drive or it's just the way that they look. And for that reason, I will put it aside, even if it does meet the other criteria. What is not criteria to me? I do not care about the gas mileage. I do not care if it's all-wheel drive. I live in Atlanta, so we don't get any bad weather. My wife has her X5. I'm going to be fine in whatever I need. And I am not putting modifiable as one of the primary criteria. One of the reasons for getting out of the NC and making this change is to go with something that is really ready to go from the factory. I'm okay doing wheels and tires and maybe a tune in the future, but outside of that, I really want to leave it in pretty stock form. All right, so over the past month or so, I have driven, I'm going to say 13 cars. A couple of them I've actually driven multiple times. Multiple different dealerships, really looking for the right experience that met all of the criteria. I went through and actually ranked all of these from the worst to the best. I'm going to start with the worst and work my way forward. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to hit on a quick note for it, as well as a pro and a con, and then I'm going to, in 1 minute or less, summarize my thoughts on the car. Number 13, the 2026 Volkswagen GLI. Boredom at its absolute finest. The space was exceptional. The price was awesome at 33 grand. It's very quiet and refined. If you are just looking for a car that does 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds and has absolutely no emotion doing it, it's fine. If you want your car to do literally anything ever and it have any emotion, I don't think I could ever advise at least the current iteration of the GLI. It was boring and literally provided nothing that a base Corolla or Prius couldn't provide. It was extremely boring, and that even accounts for the fact that it had a manual transmission, as all new GLIs do, which is a very rubbery, poor feeling manual transmission. All right, number 12, 2019 BMW 340i M Sport. There's probably going to be some hate on this one. Straight line speed is there, but it lacks any formal character. The steering is not very responsive. Unlike my wife's X5, I did not feel that the interior was anywhere near up to the same standard. The B58 is an amazing engine. The ZF is an amazing transmission. My real issue with the car was just that it really didn't provide any formal feedback, and it really didn't speak to me. I'm sure I could do something to make it better, but I really did not enjoy the experience as a whole. Number 11, the 2025 GR Corolla. I really thought this was going to be the best Toyota product that they made from like a daily sports car standpoint that is not a Supra. And I think, on it, at least based on my criteria, I was wrong. I think that the GR Corolla is a perfect replacement for my current NC. I think it would be a very bad daily driver. It is very loud. It feels like a $10,000 Corolla. It drives exceptionally great. If we had worse weather conditions, maybe I would consider it. For me personally, little two-boy racer, way too loud, and the backseat is completely useless. Overall, extremely fun car though. That's just where the conversation ends. Number 10, the 2019 WRX STI. Arguably the most fun that I had in any car that I went and test drove. It gave me giggles. I was cracking up. I loved it. Extremely stiff, very, very tight. The problem was I got out of it and I felt like I got out of something from 1990. The interior leaves something to be desired, and I recognize this is the prior gen of WRX, and it is the formal STI, so it's supposed to be more raw. But similar to the GR Corolla, I don't need the all-wheel drive, so I'm not going to really emphasize that point. I was hoping that the interior would be a little bit better, that it would be a little bit more refined. It was just a little bit too raw. Now, the nice part about the WRX, it is a little bit more understated, but it is still pretty out there as far as everything goes. Love the car, just couldn't use it for daily use. Number 9, the 2025 Honda Civic Si. Great car, just wish it had a little more. You may hear another one kind of similar to that later. The interior of the FL5 Civics is exceptional. The seating position is generally very good. The driving dynamic of the SI, the power was fine if you didn't know what you were looking for. The rev hang that they have, that is absolutely a thing. It's manageable, but if it is your only car that you're going to drive and you are an automotive enthusiast and you have experience in other stuff, I think you'd be a little bit disappointed with it. Outside of that, I think it's a great car. Backseat was very usable. It just kind of lacked in character and some of the driving dynamics as well. All right, number 8, the 2025 WRX TS. I'm going to be honest here. I actually think I liked the newer WRXs more than the older STIs. It's probably due to the criteria that I'm basing this on. It was fun to drive. The power is easily able to achieve when you're in it. You know, you're not having to rev it out to 7,000 RPMs. It's very manageable. I don't necessarily need the all-wheel drive. We've already discussed that. The infotainment on the Subarus is not great. If I needed, I think that all-wheel drive system, I probably would go for a WRX. I think they are a great driving car. It's just not what I really need here. Number 7, the 2018 to, I believe it was 2021 Honda Civic Type R. Finding one of these to actually look at was pretty hard. We talked about the boy racer look a few minutes ago. The FK8 Civic Type R drives exceptional. The seating position is amazing. The transmission is spectacular. The powertrain is great. Really my biggest gripe with the car, and it's the reason it's not further down on the list, is I can't do the hot boy styling. It is a little too much for me, at least on the FK8, and for that reason I went ahead and kind of moved on past it. Number 6, the VW Mark 7 GTI and the Golf R. I realize that these are both very, very unique cars. Having driven both of them, the GTI is definitely more, I would say, fun. I actually really didn't love the GTI. I really fell in love with the Golf R. The problem that I had with the Golf R is that it did not provide much steering feedback, and I felt that it was more of a one-trick pony going very, very quick. It's one of those situations, again, where if I needed all-wheel drive, I think the conversation would be between the WRX and the Golf R, but because I don't need it, I think there are other cars that give you a better experience driving it. One caveat I'll put on that is I think that the Golf R's DSG is a far better option, especially in the R, than a manual transmission would be. I actually looked at one that had a manual transmission. It was fun. If you were going that route, that car is fast enough that, honest to God, the dual clutch transmission is just worth having in that car. I did enjoy it. It was fun. The next one down is ironically going to get some hate as well. That's going to be the 2022 to 2025 GTI and Golf R Mark 8 Golf R. Again, the GTI is a bit more playful. I really like the newer interiors. I know a lot of people like the simple Mark 7 interiors. For me personally, give me a cooled seat, give me the updated infotainment. Yes, I hate the haptic on the steering wheel. It's horrible. But in general, I felt that that was a little bit more refined experience, and I actually thought that the steering and everything in it, especially with DCC, the dynamic chassis control, did a far better job in the Mark 8 than it did in the 7 or the 7.5. Doesn't mean that the 7 or the 7.5 are not great. They are. I think the Mark 8 just delivers on a little bit more, especially now that they're starting to come together in cost or price. Number 4. This was probably the hardest one on the whole list to rank. The 2024 Hyundai Elantra N. I'm going to caveat this with at the very beginning. I went into this car having watched every review and everybody loving it. I really liked it. It was fantastic. I personally could not buy a Hyundai because of the label. If that gives you hate and you don't like that response, please look at what my criteria was. It has to be reliable over everything. I want to make sure that the car can hit 100,000 miles with zero issues. There are individuals in the groups now that have exceeded that. The problem is not necessarily the car, but the brand. There's too many oil starvation issues. There's too many issues that go with the brand. And I have told too many of my friends not to buy Hyundais. Even though they have gotten better, I still cannot myself go in and actually drive one. And for that reason, it wasn't for me. Now, as far as driving dynamics go, it was probably the most fun front-wheel drive car that I drove. Not the most refined, but probably the most fun. I love the cracks and burbles. The dampening on the suspension is fantastic. I also like that I think Hyundai really got everything out of that engine that they possibly could. For example, on the aftermarket, there are tunes, but the tunes do not do much for it because Hyundai really, really tried. The BMW exec that went over to Hyundai did an exceptional job building that car. And it should be noted. That's why it's as high on the list, even though I really want to hate Hyundai. I really want to hate Hyundai. Number 3, this one's going to be a little bit shocking. The twins, the Subaru BRZ and the Toyota GR86. That is actually the car that made me rethink selling my Miata. For a very long time, I was actually very opposed to selling my car, especially having the 2.5 and everything done. I went and drove that GR86, and for the very first time, I felt that the car had actually, my Miata had been replicated. The powertrain, the way that it pulls is extremely similar. You can look at the 0 to 60 numbers. You know, I'm hovering around 5.5 seconds probably in the Miata because you're in third gear achieving 60 miles an hour. The GR86 felt very, very similar. It's very planted. It's very fun to drive. Steering feedback is there. It really cannot be beaten, especially for around 30, 35 grand if you're getting a new one. It is as good as it gets. I have nothing but great things to say. My only gripe in the car, and it's the reason it's not number 2 or 1, the back seat is very small, and the overall interior quality, which frankly should not even be held against it because they're able to keep the price down, were the primary 2 reasons that I went against it. That said, as a replacement for my Miata, if I was doing one directly, it would be a GR86. It's the best driving car that is not starting with a Porsche or has 6 figures in it that you can buy right now as far as just a fun, balanced chassis. Number 2, you've probably been expecting this a little bit because I've left it out. The 2022 to 2025 Honda Civic FL5 Type R. I said I really enjoyed the FK8 Type R. The FL5 is the first one I sat in and went, wow, this is actually exceptional. I drove it. The driving experience is extremely raw. It was overall great. The shifter, the power, everything just like the FK8 was fantastic. My biggest gripe was that for me personally, I am looking for something that has a few more creature comforts. I still want that manual transmission that they offer, and if you start going down the rabbit hole on this, it's pretty quick to come to a conclusion on what I came to. And I actually have driven 3 of these now for my number 1. The 2024 Acura Integra Type S is genuinely a magical car. The manual transmission that they have in that car is the same one from the Type R. Every shift feels crisp, great, firm. The powertrain in that car pulls fantastic. Is it wrong-wheel drive being driven by the front wheels? Yes. I don't think that should be held against the car. And I think that's actually been the hardest thing for me is having looked at all of these different cars, dealing with front-wheel drive, the only reason that the Integra has even been a conversation and I've had to drive it multiple times is based on the fact that it's front-wheel drive, and I've been trying to avoid the inevitable on that. The creature comforts that it provides, the overall interior quality of it, yes, it may not be up to the same $60,000, $70,000 price range that it's hovering up near, but that car delivers on everything and then some. Not to mention, it's a little bit softened compared to the Civic Type R. That, when I'm talking to my wife, is a huge reason for why I could never go for the Type R. Those seats, the fact that the back seat is not matched, there's a number of things. Is it perfect? No. The Integra Type S should have memory seats. It should have HomeLink. and it should have, a number of other just normal features that these cars have. But I would take that trade-off any day of the week for the experience that you're getting in the car. For that reason, I am intending to transition from my 4Runner and the Miata into an Integra Type S. Let me know what your thoughts are. Am I making the wrong decision here? I fully acknowledge I'm losing an off-roader and I'm losing a formal sports car for something that's somewhere in the middle. And I know that a lot of people are probably going to have their reservations that I will be frustrated nearly immediately, especially with not having an off-roader. I can tell you for a fact, I will only be without one for 6 or 8 months, get the car paid off, get it, really feeling confident, and then I will be transitioning into another Toyota product to go alongside it. But thank you.